Alright, so Varl and Aloy have returned to Meridian, the Karja capital, in order to effectively find a new lead, get some help.
Remember
Use his
to clonk that follow button.
network of spies. And as they return to the capital of the Sundom, Marad informs Aloy he's been looking for her, that he needs her to investigate something. So the object in front of us right now is the sphere which carried Hades at the end of Zero Dawn. And the item which is sticking out of it is Silence's lance, which was given to Aloy as a means to deliver the Master Override and, quote, destroy Hades. Marad mentions...
Is that a statue of me?
It is.
That's new.
Marad mentions that this other structure, the Spire, which is why the Karja built their city where they built it, glowed a red at the time of the solstice. Now the Karja people worship the sun, which is why it's called the Sundom and why the city is called Meridian. You'll also notice there was a city in there named Sunfall, which exists to the far west of their territory. This spire was built by the sub-function Minerva, and it was built to first, after the codes to brute force the Pharaoh machines was basically built after 50 years, it was used to transmit those codes. It's also has these spires are used to transmit instructions within the terraforming system. Hades wanted to use that spire to transmit codes to the buried and dormant Pharaoh machines to come back to life and re-wipe out all life, because that is what his job was, to undo the terraforming. Unshackled from Gaia, all he knew was his purpose. But Aloy stopped all that. She thrusted Silence's lance with the Master Override into the machine core which housed Hades' intellect and ended him. And that was the end of Zero Dawn. Yeah, me too, Aloy.
I don't know. Looks the same as before.
But there was a cutscene at the end of Horizon Zero Dawn which showed Silence used his lance to effectively build a transmitter, and Hades escaped and was captured by Silence, and Silence currently has it in his possession.
I could pull this thing out of me. What? Transmission. No, he wouldn't. He couldn't. Something was transmitted from the top of the spire. I guess I have to find a way up there.
So now we're going to go to the top of the spire and confirm our very dread suspicions now, which is that Silence has done something very bad. I don't think that's the way.
Maybe I can jump to that ledge behind me.
Already on it. So we are now in episode 2. I did stop and restart the recording, and while the cutscene was playing with Varl, of all things, my mother showed up and said, "Son, I have a pecan pie for you," because she loves me. So there is now a pecan pie waiting for me to eat.
Ropes behind me.
So I had to throw on slippers, run downstairs, greet my mom, and say, "Hi, thank you for the pecan pie, but I also am in the middle of something." That is not the way. Okay, for sure it's a reverse jump. Yeah, pecan pie is also my favorite.
My lord!
And my mom knows it. And so she uses it. I wouldn't say uses it. It is a method for her to entice me to come over to her house, but I was very busy this week, and I didn't get over there. And so she said, I still have this pecan pie for you several times. And apparently she got tired of waiting and brought it over. Okay, it's very simple. We need to get over there, and for some reason I cannot see the jump that gets us there. We have reverse jump to get here. There is no way around. Maybe is it right here? No, she doesn't want to jump from there. She doesn't want to jump from there. Is it just as simple as... Nope. Now we've tried to do that twice now and it didn't work. That crane doesn't move. We use that to get up here and turn around there. I don't see any other path. No, we use that to get up here. That is also a way up here, obviously. But how are we getting up there? Why is this so proving to be so tricky? But yeah, so I have a pecan pie waiting for. I don't know if I'm going to eat it today simply because my stomach is still playing games. No, that is definitely not it. I'd like to get over there. Alright, so apparently we're going about this wrong. And I'm not going to continue to frustrate myself by making the same jump over and over. So let's try this a different way. That will put us to the same point there. We're not going over to those areas yet because we don't need to. There's a lot of exclamation points here that to talk to people once we're done. This puts us back in the same spot. Why am I not seeing the way? I've tried side jumping a few times and she won't. You can see me actually pushing it right now to side jump. There it is. And then she did that. Tried that 2 times previous and she wouldn't do it. Yeah, it's not so much buggy as it's finicky. So we need to pull this with a pull caster, I believe, and I don't know if that'll make it or not. It will.
There we go.
It was just like, I could see her trying it, and then she wouldn't do it. But we are on the way now. We are now ascending the spire.
How to cross over to the spire.
This is a holy object to the Karja. Gee, I wonder how we get in there.
Should be able to get up there now. I thought Simon was helping me when he gave me slants. It looks like he tricked me. Transmitted something through the spire. He's saving.
Rocket goes to the vault.
Why would he do that? Well, if I can figure out where he sent it, I can track him down.
Whoopsie.
Hopefully the transmission node.
Why did the vault not work? The first time the vault did that. I will cycle the bot here in a moment. I don't know. I don't either. Okay. So my mom, who dropped off a pie, is continuing to send me messages. No, that was her saying she could run it up. No, very much happier to have gone down and gotten it. Alright, so let's come over here.
Well, doesn't look like I can keep climbing this way.
She did. Blame Rocket.
Looks like this panel's ajar.
How can a panel be ajar? If it's a panel. Alright, inside the spire we go.
An elevator? Let's see.
So Aloy possesses the ability to interact with old world machines, or I'm sorry, Zero Dawn machines, because of an override she acquired very early in Zero Dawn.
The whole thing is opening up. Wonder what the Karja will make of this.
Now, why would a machine of Minerva, the Spire, have a audible human interface? Because it was always the intention to turn the terraforming system over to an educated humanity. But humanity was never educated because Ted Faro deleted the Apollo database, which is why everyone's tribal.
Sword of the Far West. Bastard.
Well, Aloy, I see you finally figured it out. To be honest, I'm surprised it took you so long to discover my rules.
You raked the lands to steal Hades. How could you be so reckless?
Reckless? You're the one who tried to purge Hades before its precious knowledge could be extracted. The mysterious signal that woke it, for example. Or why to obtain one of those Gaia backups you've been having such a hard time finding.
If you knew, why didn't you just tell me?
I've been having problems of my own these past 6 months, Aloy. The difference is, I've made progress. So once your anger at my entirely necessary deception has faded, why don't you come out here and find me in the Forbidden West, and learn all that I've discovered?
Oh, I'll come find you, all right.
Yes. Well, the coordinates should make it simple enough. Even for you.
Gah! There's no other choice.
Mermaid's that guy too.
Better let Varl and Marad know what I found.
Alright, so let's talk about a few things here. What is the Forbidden West? The Carja Sundom extends from what they call the Savage Lands to the east, which is the Nora Sacred Lands, to what is known as the Forbidden West in the west. Well, it's called the Forbidden West because previous Sun Kings of the Sundom have attempted to take armies into the Forbidden West, and they were annihilated by... They didn't know. We know in Carja history what happened, but it's better for this narrative process to allow you to discover that as we go. But I believe it was the 9th or 10th Sun King who said, nope. Maybe it was earlier than that. But they built a fortress called Sunfall to the west and said, this is the furthest western extent of Carja territory. Anything past this point is forbidden, hence Forbidden West. It actually extends as far as the Daunt, which is a canyon system that leads into the wider expanse, which is the Forbidden West. But what Aloy just learned is that Silence is out there. He has Hades, which is dangerous, because that was the whole antagonist plot of the first game, and that he knows something about where the Gaia backups are. And Silence isn't an evil character, per se. He's sociopathic in his pursuit of knowledge. But he also took a little pleasure there, if you don't understand. Like, he knows Aloy is important. He understands who she is in terms of being a clone and her importance to the Zero Dawn system. He's the only person who really gets as much as she does. But he knew something she didn't. And for the first time in a while, that was true. And so he felt pleasure in that. He was condescending to her, which pissed her off. It triggered her more brash, impulsive side. And so Aloy says, well, that's the only way. She has to go find Silence because she's out of options. So before we talk to Blameless Marad, and he's blameless because he was found to be blameless in the atrocities of the 13th Sun King Jiran, who went crazy after the derangement started and decided that the only way to appease the machines, or the sun god who he believed control the machines, and the Carja religion believes control the machines, was to offer blood sacrifices to the sun at an arena at Sunfall called the Sun Ring. So he led a series of invasions against all tribes called the Red Raids. To the west, to the north against the Banuk and the Oseram, to the east against the Nora and his own people. And his second son, because his first son had spoken up against Jiran and was killed in sacrifice, his second son Avad fled, gathered an Oseram army of allies, came back, and deposed his father and became the 14th Sun King. And so that was about 2.5 years ago. There is an uneasy truce between the Karja and a lot of the other tribes. The Oseram are a little bit more tightly allied with the Karja because they've been integrated into their society more. But that's where we stand. So what we're about to do is meet a lot of the people that we met in Zero Dawn. That's why we're going to do all these small exclamation points first before we go talk to Marad. But Blameless Marad is because he was found to be blameless in the atrocities of the 13th Sun King.
Only those who fell in the Battle of the Alot.
The Battle of the Alot
People defended this place from
was the
Hades.
penultimate confrontation with Hades at the end of Zero Dawn. We're not going to talk to you yet. This is the monument to Aloy, which I'm sure she hates.
I guess I should be flattered by the statue. It feels wrong. Especially when my job's only half done.
Actually, I believe we're going to meet the people afterward.
Machine carcasses. Remnants from the Battle of the Alot. We were almost overrun by the machines Hades controlled.
Probably.
But we pushed through.
Statues are never direct representations of, especially when they're carved in stone. If you want to have a closer look, it's pretty good. Any other exclamation points before we talk to Marad? I don't think so. Several more will pop up afterwards then. Oh, there's one. I will sprint over there for this one, just to save a little bit of time. Try not to sprint all too much when I'm not fighting. The Deathbringer is actually a Pharaoh robot, which is called the Kopesh.
This machine was the last line of defense for Hades. It dragged the orb up here and then nearly killed me, but it's just a piece of scrap now.
Any others? Alright, Marad. Let's compare notes here and see what you know versus what I just learned, because I'm sure the people of the Sundom just freaked out when their sacred object opened up.
You went inside it, and it transformed, almost like the day of the battle.
I can only be grateful that it's a stormy day. Few will have seen the tower change from Meridian. What did you discover?
Hades. The danger didn't end here. It went into the Forbidden West. And I have to follow.
I see. That can be difficult. The West is called Forbidden for a reason. A tribe of ferocious warriors controls much of it, the Tanakhth, and they allow no trespassers past its border. That said, under the Sun King Avad, a fragile peace has been negotiated, and indeed, the next embassy will take place in a day or two on the edge of the frontier. Were you to attend the gathering under his auspices, the Tanakhth might grant right of passage, instead of hunting you and attacking on sight.
Great, just what I need. More killers.
The Sun King.
Aloy, it's good to see you. You left in such haste. We never had a chance to properly thank you.
Can we show the champion the spear now? Please?
Itamin, quiet.
It's true. We bear gifts. Decorum usually calls for a ceremony of offering at the palace, but I thought you would prefer a less formal occasion. Bring them, please.
Avad, this is all very kind, but I... Who's it? Vanasha.
Quick. Better hand them over before she runs off again.
Really? Must you?
Try it on.
It's beautiful.
On behalf of all the citizens of the Sundom, may these tokens remind you of our eternal gratitude.
Perhaps you'd like to spend more time with your friends. Come speak to me when you're ready to depart.
So a few things. Itamen is not
I need to attach
the
master
Sun
override
King's
to my new
son,
spear.
but his stepbrother.
Should be a workbench around
And the
here I can
woman
use.
with him is Itamen's mother, Avad's stepmother, the Sun King Jiran's second wife. And he is cute. Vanasha was a spy within Sunfall that helped get Itamen and his Dowager Queen mother out, because the Shadow Karja and the Eclipse, the antagonists of the first game, had set up Itamen as their king after Jiran was killed by Avad and the Oseram. They didn't recognize Jiran as king. And so Itamen was basically a prisoner king at the hands of the Shadow Karja, but Vanasha helped Aloy get them out. We're going to explore some of the other backgrounds from these other characters as we talk to them, but that was, I felt, kind of important to understand who Itamen is and why he's there and who the people around there were. So we'll talk to the Sun King first because he's the king.
The sculptor wanted something even bigger. Twice the size.
Yes, and still has a
Covered
super
in
crush on
gold and
Aloy.
jewels. But I was quite certain you wouldn't appreciate that.
You were right. I'm sorry, Avad. It's good to see you, but I can't stay long.
I see. I'd hoped you'd remain in the city for a time. Perhaps at the palace.
Meridian's still in danger, but it's bigger than that. To put things right, I have to go west. To Noxth territory.
By the sun, that's a Noct? Well, perhaps Marad already told you, but after years of hostility, we've negotiated a truce in hopes of a lasting peace. Another embassy will be held in just a day or two.
Let's start with Itamen.
Itamen looks happy.
You got him out of Sunfall. Any happiness he has, he owes to you. He's turning into a fine young man, which he'll need to be if he's to inherit the crown.
Wouldn't the crown go to a son of yours first?
Yes, well, I'd have to get married for that to happen. Marad keeps throwing noble matches at me. But I find I'm always trying to make them into someone they're not. At any rate, I never aspired to the throne, and I don't wish to sit there forever. When Itamen comes of age, I hope to step aside. Free of the crown. I might finally be able to travel the world. Who knows? Perhaps even accompany you on one of your adventures.
You make it sound easy.
So the interesting thing about Avad's affection for Aloy is it sparked very soon after Avad lost someone he was in love with named Ursa, who is the sister of, what's his name? It's escaping me. can't remember the name, but you're going to meet him soon. So I found it very, very funny that very shortly after Ursa's death, Avad was very much smitten with Aloy. He didn't grieve very much. Erend. Erend is Ursa's brother.
When you say years of hostility, I assume you mean the Red Raids?
Ah, yes. My favorite subject.
I wouldn't ask if I didn't need to know.
As you know, my father raided all the border tribes. The Asuram, Banuk, and Nora suffered greatly, resisting as best they could. But none fought back like the Tenakth. They rose up and assaulted our western front at Barren Light, sweeping us from their lands. Getting them to talk to us again after that was tricky.
How did you get the Tenakth to talk again after the war?
The same way I got you to talk. By giving gifts.
The Tenakth like tiaras?
More like medals, spices, and relics looted during the fighting. We've met with them on several occasions, and the gifts seem to have eased the tension. But this coming embassy is the most important yet. The best sign we've had so far that the Tenakth want lasting peace.
What makes this coming embassy so special?
Remember to clonk that follow button.
Because of the guest. Our delegation will meet with the Tenakth just outside Barren Light. We'll give them treasure, and they'll return a prisoner. Fashav, one of our finest soldiers.
Soldier? Don't you mean raider?
No, not in this case. Fashav is my cousin, nothing like Helis and his ilk. He joined the Western expedition with the hopes of reining in certain excesses. But he was captured during a heroic defense of our forward base at Cinnabar Sands, and has been held ever since.
So, Helis is mentioned there. Helis was effectively the leader of the Shadow Karja and the Eclipse, who were trying to facilitate Hades' wishes because they viewed Hades as a shadow god. You know, they called it demon. The idea is that shadow can touch things which light cannot within the Karja dogma. Helis was described as the most dangerous man alive, and he certainly was that. But he was also the man who killed Rost, Aloy's foster father, adopted father, the man she saw as father, when he saved her. And in the end, Aloy got her revenge by killing him near the end of Zero Dawn. But let's find out about Fashav, who's a very interesting character.
Your cousin, Fashav. How long has he been a Tenakth captive?
5 years. Tenakth emissaries swear he is well, but I wonder. That tribe is renowned for its brutality. How did he survive? Well, I'll know soon enough. If you see him before I do, tell him that I await him in Meridian, where he belongs.
If I see him, I will. I need to get going.
One moment, Aloy. There's something I must ask you. Since you left, I've thought of little else.
This isn't really the time.
But it has to be. The way you left before, there's no way to know when I'll see you again. I'm not trying to stop you, or hold you back, but I need to know. When your mission is over, will you return to Meridian? And stay? Long enough for us to spend time, to get to know each other properly, perhaps.
So, here is where you're allowed to define your narrative. These choices don't have impact on the plot outcome, but they do allow you to shape it. And I tend to gravitate to the brain, the logic side of Aloy. This would represent her brash and impulsive side, and this would kind of be her emotional side, which she doesn't get in touch with very often. She's very much not in touch with her emotions, so we're going to go with her brain option most of the time.
Avad, the situation calls for a higher perspective. The threat I'm facing endangers not just Meridian, but a lot of other places too. A lot of innocent people. What happens between us, it's not important. At least, not yet.
You're right. I'm acting like a fool. It's supposed to be the king who calls for a higher perspective. Please accept my apology. And my wishes for your success.
He does. He does have some strong shoulder muscles for holding his arms out that long.
Our hopes ride with you.
The practiced posture of nobility. So that's Avad. Avad's a decent guy. He sought to do what was right. So here is Itamen and his mom, and we're going to talk to Nasadi, the Dowager Queen.
Itamen, careful.
Not the spouse, but the stepmother of Avad.
Savior, we were worried as to what
Dowager
fate
Queen
befell
Nasadi.
you after.
Blessed champion.
Well, glad to
Itamen,
see you're
what do you
safe.
say?
My humblest thanks to you, great champion, for delivering my mother and me from Sunfall, and for defending our holy city against the forces of Shadow. Did I say right?
You said it fine, Itamen. And you're welcome.
Champion, will you teach me how to shoot like a real machine hunter?
Itamen.
I have to go on an important mission, Prince.
To save the world?
Something like that. But when I come back, I could give you a few tips. It would be an honor.
We owe you our lives, champion, and we will not forget. May the sun light your way.
Watch out for Thunderjaws, champion.
As Rocket said, Itamen is super sweet. Who else do we have to speak to here? There are people all around. I know it's more than those two. I will jump up here real quick because obviously they want me to go up here for something.
Almost ready to go? At least the Carja are paying us to do their hard work this time. She looks even stronger than the statue does. By the forge. It's her.
Yeah, get used to this level of adoration in the East. It will take time for the other tribes, and now we've learned of one of them through the story's narrative, the Tenakth. Of all the tribes that we've encountered in the Horizon games so far, the Tenakth are by far the most militant. They are ruthless, and the rumors in the East is of data which we've obtained thus far in the game's narrative is that they're blood drinkers. They drink the blood of their enemies. They actually believe that they will drink the blood of their own fallen because they believe that the abilities and spirit of the fallen flows through the blood and can be transferred. And a lot of that's misnomer and urban legend. But the Tenakth are one thing, and it is stoically ruthless. Here are these two individuals, Uthid and Vanasha. Uthid is a Shadow Carja defector and commander who came back to the Sundom. And as we stated earlier, Vanasha is the spy inside of Sunfall who helped Aloy get Itamen and Nasadi out from under the Eclipse and removed their ability to have this puppet king in Itamen.
Uthid, Vanasha, thanks for being here.
Wouldn't miss it, even if you did leave us hanging after the big battle.
Vanasha, stop. She's here now, isn't she?
For the moment. But I see that look on her face. She's got business to attend to, and it isn't in Meridian.
You know, I didn't vanish before because I wanted to. I had...
No, Huntress. Please. You don't have to justify yourself to us. You saved our butts. If you've got to go, go. With our blessing.
Always.
You both look like you're doing well.
Mr. Shiny Pants here is now the Sun King's senior military advisor. That means people actually have to listen to him talk? May the sun bless their sorry souls.
At least I say something of substance every once in a while.
What was that? I just fell asleep while you were talking.
And how about you, Vanasha?
I've been looking after Nasadi and Edaman. 2 parts bodyguard, 1 part...
Bad influence.
Huh. I was gonna say nanny, but I like your version better.
I never pictured you as a nanny. Edaman must be special.
Hold on now. I'm not entirely domesticated. Nasadi was the Mad Sun King's wife. She has enemies. I've had to foil a plot or 2.
Right. You can try to hide it, but inside, you're as soft as a silk pillow.
Oh, you have no idea.
Huh? Oh dear.
We were talking about Edaman?
Yeah, okay, I admit it. Edaman's cute. He's fun, and he looks up to me. I like him. Except when he forgets to wash his hands after hooking worms in that muddy garden behind his solarium. Blech.
Now the Shadow Karja, again, were the Karja faction that broke away after Avad killed Jiran and propped up Itamen as their king. The Eclipse were a sub-faction within them that began to worship Hades as a god, which is a arrangement Silence set up at Hades' direction in exchange for knowledge. So, Uthid was a member of the Shadow Karja who came back to the Sundom.
It's been months since I was in Sunfall. What's become of the Shadow Karja?
After you wiped out the Eclipse, there were hardly any priests or officers left to terrorize the little people.
Avad offered amnesty to all who were forced to serve the Shadow, so the commoners cleaned out the citadel and handed it back to him. The Sundom was unified.
Avad wanted Uthid to take command of the garrison there, but Captain Cudley here refused. Rumor has it that he wanted to stay close to me here in Meridian.
That's nonsense, of course.
Well, I know. You're out. Go! Away with you.
Always an honor, champion.
Always a pleasure. But please, little huntress, come back someday and tell us about your adventures. If I can't get in trouble, at least I can hear about yours.
So I'm trying to do my best here with removing my face from these cutscenes. I will continue to do so and probably build a button for it that I can easily access, because right now I'm just toggling it from the
Well, that's everyone.
OBS controls.
Guess it was nice to catch up.
So yeah, I guess that is everyone that we need to speak to. We will proceed with the narrative. Why does it want us here? Oh, use workbench. It wants us to do something here. Spear upgrade. Requires the Resonator Blast skill to use. Installs the Master Override on a new module to enable build up and release kinetic energy in combat. The Resonator is actually pretty useful. And this is the spear we were just gifted. So we're basically taking our existing gear on our existing spear,
Master Override installed.
the Master Override, and installing it on the new champion spear we were gifted.
New. To store up and release energy. Resonator. Should help in a fight.
It's asking us. Okay, there we go. So now we are checkmarked on the quest, and we will proceed back down to Marad and tell him we are ready to go to the west. This is the last time in this game that you will see Meridian. Now, we're not even really in Meridian, but we're on the Alot, which is the area around the Spire. After this, we will head to the Daunt and begin our quest to find Silence. I would say this is the true ending of the prologue and of most of the tutorial. So here we go, and hopefully we get our gear back after this.
Are you ready to go? Or do you need a little more time?
We're ready to go.
I better get going. And if I'm headed west, it sounds like I'll need rite of passage from the Tenakth, as you said. Where exactly is this embassy going to be held?
Past the Daunt, the canyon that marks the western border of the Sundom. You'll find the fortress of Barren Light at its farthest edge. The embassy will take place just beyond its gates. It's a long march, a fortnight on foot.
A couple of days hard riding should get us there.
Actually, it might be better to rest here tonight. Head out in the morning.
Of course. I'll arrange it.
There's my gear. It's one of the reasons this game fills my Assassin's Creed itch. What a view of Meridian, though.
My voice has grown so somber. These words don't seem like mine, but the iron won't subside. No matter what I try. My raindrops in the flood, in this emptiness, in the storm. If I falter, if I fall, the wave inside my soul carries.
That is Sunfall. It's not bad. I came in an hour over my original time to complete the prologue in my first playthrough, which means that I have done a good job of slowing the pace.
Sparks to steel. Never seen anyone use one of those to get around.
Is that how I get to Barren Light?
Yes, I mean usually, but not today. Not yet.
And why is that?
Well, the Daunt. The whole valley. It's infested with machines.
I can handle machines.
Oh, I'm sure you can, but I'm under strict orders not to operate until the whistle down at Chainscrape sounds the all clear.
Look, I didn't come all this way just to stand around and wait. I'll crank that car down myself if I have to.
Well, but then who would crank it back up? Fine, fine.
should anyone ask, it might be best to say you forced me.
So Karn is an Osram. This is an Osram elevator.
I see smoke, but not a lot of activity.
Smoke's probably coming from something the machines wrecked. As for the quiet, well, there's a work stoppage in effect because of all the fuss.
What sort of machines are causing the trouble?
Nasty ones, and lots of them. Bristlebacks, they're called. Strangeness is, they're not native to the Daunt. Just showed up, all of a sudden.
No hunters to kill them?
Oh, we've got hunters, just none that want to cross Ulvund. Boss of Chainscrape. He is self-appointed. Work stoppage was his idea.
Yeah, well, I'm just passing through. Got an embassy
Hello,
to attend.
green shine.
You should have said. That ain't gonna happen no time soon.
What are you talking about?
Hear that? That's your answer.
Who is that?
Karja's Sun Priest. Cranked him down yesterday, about an hour before the machine trouble started. He's a very important man, or so he says. That embassy at Barren Light, he's the one supposed to run it. Ah!
Great.
If you don't do as I say immediately, the Sun King himself shall hear of your insolence. Thanks to you, I was forced to spend the night shivering in the tent. Exposed to attack, I might have died. Oh, me you refuse to transport, but not this... what? This Nora girl? This savage? Besides, scallywag.
Wadis. That's Aloy.
Studious Wadis.
Aloy, you know, savior of Meridian.
Really? Well, that lessens the insult, I suppose.
I came here for the embassy at Barren Light. Way I hear it, so did you.
Well, not with the valley infested. And so did Ahriman, proclaim the Sun Priests most precious and worthy of safekeeping. See? Scripture. I shall head to Barren Light when the captain of the Vanguard tells me the way is clear, and not a moment sooner.
Fine. Captain's a friend of mine, you know? Where is Erend? Wouldn't mind speaking to someone a little more action, a little less scroll.
Wadis.
Studious Wadis.
Studious Wadis sent Aaron and another Vanguard out at daybreak to clear the way.
And so at daybreak...
Hey! Shh. Down the valley, then?
Yeah, said they checked the ruins on the left bank for tracks. Take it from there.
Okay. I hear there's a work stoppage. Any way to upgrade my gear?
I'll bet the smith in Chainscrape would let you use his workbench. As for the bristlebacks, you might want to craft some acid arrows. Hitting their canisters with those will take them down quick.
Thanks. I'll find Erend and I'll bring him back. Hey! Where do you think you're going?
What? To the top of the ridge. To wait in safety.
Sorry. Operator's under strict orders. No passengers till the whistle blows, right?
That's right. Best start cranking.
Why? Why?
Jorf, would you kindly escort Studious to Chainscrape and wait for me there?
You got it.
I will find Erend, and I will help clear a path. But after that, no more excuses. Barren Light. Embassy.
If such be the will of the sun.
It will be. Trust me.
So there's some interesting things in here. Studious Wadis mentions Ahriman. Ahriman is the first Sun King, and believe it or not, the Karja were also birthed at Aleuthian 9 and used to be part of the Nora. But Ahriman found, against the dogma of the Proto-Nora back in the day, a book on astronomy, and began to understand how to how the sun moved in the sky and the Earth's place in the solar system and things like that. And it caused a rift where the traditional Orthodox Nora were like, no, 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 to the old world, the machine world. And Ahriman was like, no, I will follow the path of the sun. And so he led those who agreed with him out of the sacred land of the Nora and into what became the Carja Sundom. And then when they found the Spire, Ahriman decreed this is where they would build their home, and it became the city of Meridian. So that's why he's saying it's scripture, because the scripture of the Carja was set down by their first son, King Ahriman.
I gotta find Erend. But it might be good to hit Chainscrape first and upgrade my bow.
I don't think we're going to need that one. We've got some upgraded bows here now, Aloy. Probably still need to do it in terms of getting a quest done, but we're good to go on. We should probably craft a few more of those. We have all of our materials now. Some, yeah. To give you an idea now that we have our gear in hand, all of our weapons, the ones we have equipped, are the Tinker's Pride, which is a legendary weapon. It is max upgraded. It is built for knockdown and to use the stagger beams. Mads, 31 months in a row. Thank you for the resub. We have the Elite Rope Caster, which is the best rope caster that can actually be used to tie down machines. It is max upgraded, and it is coiled for, believe, draw speed. The Sky Killer, the most OP weapon in the game, in my opinion. The advanced explosive spikes are devastating, and it is coiled expressly for explosive damage. Regala's Wrath, which is a weapon you get if you make a certain choice in the first game, is a devastating stealth weapon. It is coiled for critical hits. I have a 45% critical hit chance on this bow. Deathseeker Shadow is my elemental.
Wait, what hole did I forget?
Weird. Hey, look at that. It finally went, Rocket. Your vault attempt finally went. Weird. Rocket's at the vault door. Nope. Mads fixed it. She did. Weird how that happened. All I did was change a graphic in the in OBS. So anyway, the Deathseeker Shadow is another legendary weapon that I have for its shock. It is a lethal shock bow. The Sun Scourge I also have for its elemental damage. It is the best fire bow in the game. So the Deathseeker Shadow is equipped for tear damage and shock damage mostly. The Sun Scourge is built entirely to use its frost arrows. It's completely coiled for frost. And then the Ancestors Return did not upgrade. And then there's the poopy bow they gave us to start the game with. But off we go on our quest as we begin a slow walk into the dawn. And as we walk into the dawn, we're going to bring episode 2 to a close, which was largely just lore. And we'll begin our process of getting to Chainscrape in episode 3. And for those of you that are following along live with me, what I mean by that is I'm simply starting a new recording at intervals so I can stagger this out in more easily digestible nuggets on YouTube. Lethos, welcome in.